Hey there, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour, and we work on projects from beginning to end. Today we are starting block 4 of the Splendid Sampler 2. Here it is. It's adorable. So it is called Balance. It's this adorable little elephant. I think you guys can see that. Balance by Wenche Wolff Hatling. And it is applique. So we'll be doing another applique project today. I'm going to try fusible applique today. So we've done a few applique projects already. If you're worried that all of our projects for the Splendid Sampler 2 are going to be applique and embroidery, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Oh, thanks you guys. So it is my birthday tomorrow, so I will not be online here tomorrow. We usually are on every day of the week, but we weren't on yesterday for the holiday, and we're not going to be on tomorrow because it's my birthday and I'm going to a musical in town here, so I'm stoked about that. So I want to do the raw edge applique for this because number one, we haven't done it yet, and number two, it's super duper fast, and since I'm only going to be here today, I think it might be a really quick way to get really far, like almost done on this project. We'll do some embroidery and all that. I won't get all done with that, but we will get everything fused to the page, to our fabric here. So we're gonna make a whole, we're gonna get really far today. So thanks again, guys, for joining me. Again, we're working on the next Splendid Sampler block, Balance by Wenche Wolff Hatling. All right, I'm gonna try 2 different applique materials as well for the fusible web. So we'll go through that today. But first, let's pick out some fabrics. So thanks, guys, again, for joining me. I'm gonna flip you around. Let's get started. All right, here we are. Oh, thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate that so much. You guys are so sweet. My favorite people. All right, here we are. So here you guys can get a little closer look at it. It's an applique elephant. Oh, look at the cute deer she has in this fabric. An applique elephant on a little stand. And then there's some embroidery for the ears and the eyes and the little tail there. So this looks like it has been needle turn applique, but we have done needle turn for the circles that, like, for block number 2 and block number 3, we did different versions of needle turn applique. So we're going to try fusible. So I've set a few parameters for my Splendid Sampler 2 quilt. I am going to be using a white background as much as I can, just because I've never really done white backgrounds for things before, so that's one of my parameters, just to give myself a challenge. And I'm going to try and use this stack of neutrals as much as I can and limit these bright colors to like every 5 blocks. So I'm going to try and not use these in this block again. And then I have my scraps so far here, and we might actually be able to use some of these scraps already. We'll pick through there. But starting out, I want a white background. You don't need a white background. Actually, all these backgrounds that are bright colors and, you know, this pattern is just so lovely and cute. But for this, we are just going to do the white background. And hold on a sec, guys. I need a cutting board tonight. So I am going to... Oh, Leslie, I'm not sure what's... Oh, Leslie, if you're commenting here, then you're seeing it. You don't have to be part of the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. You just have to be on the Penguin and Fish page when this is going for it to work. So, all right, I'm going to just do a little press here. Oh, you know what? Maybe let's start... we'll start cutting from the other side. I have a lot of white. So we need a 7-inch square, And, you know, again, we're going to be cutting this down to 6.5 inches when it's all said and done before we sew it into a quilt. The 7 inches is just to give us leeway for when we're doing the applique, because sometimes, especially if you're doing needle turn applique, it likes to suck in on the background a little bit. So if we go a little bit bigger, then we can trim it down. So I have this big square ruler. I'm just going to go to the 7-inch mark. Again, this doesn't matter so much. So I got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I always get nervous with cutting. So I'm just going to go kind of around 7 inches. And usually I pick out my fabrics before I get going too far on this, the cutting and everything, but this will give us our little base to get started. When we pick our fabrics, it might be a little easier for us to see it all. Then we don't have to have all this white in the way either. Okay, let's get rid of this. All right, so I want to choose from these fabrics here. So let's see. I've been looking at a lot of your guys', if you have the block done already, there's some people that are posting it on the Splendid Sampler Facebook page already, and they're looking super cute. And I think the more patterny the elephant, the cuter almost. So I'm almost wondering, like a really bright, fun thing maybe. I don't know, these flowers. We've used these flowers a lot already, but that would be an awfully cute elephant. Oh my God, that would be just so silly and fun. Maybe that's too over the top. Although I kind of could do a bright yellow elephant. We just make, this almost looks like elephant. It's just kind of like this texture. Maybe we just go that route. That would be kind of nice and neutral. I'm trying to do this neutral quilt. You know what? I kind of just like that. Let's just do kind of a neutral plain elephant, and then maybe we can do that stand a little bit brighter. Like maybe the stand is this kind of bright, kind of this citron color, maybe with that orange or something. So I always kind of like to look at my fabrics proportion-wise. So this is about that big, and you know, we're looking at this is our guide. These are about this big, and then the elephant, you know, proportionately about like that. That's kind of cute. I don't know if I like this. What about these two? Some flowers. I think let's just call it. Let's call it this and be done. The nice thing about picking out my fabrics of the whole quilt beforehand is that I don't have to make too many decisions. Okay, that's actually a little sweeter. I think I'm going to go with this. All right, I can just kind of pick, and whatever I pick, it's going to go together because I've already kind of determined the quilt. Oh, Tracy, if you missed the previous block, it's just a previous blog post on the Splendid Sampler. So if you go to thesplendidsampler.com and you scroll down past the current block and then just hit like past post, that should do it. There's actually probably a tab that says blocks, and then you can just go to that blocks. Thanks again for the birthday wishes, guys. You're awesome. All right, so here we are. This is going to be our elephant, and then our little base here. I think maybe let's do flowers for this top bit, and then this gold kind of yellow at the bottom bit. So, all right. So for fusible web raw edge applique, we actually need to work in reverse pattern. So to have the pattern end up being this way, we need to actually flip it around to work on it that way. And just to help me out, I have my light table here just so I can see through. You could actually cut out these pieces and trace them. So you could actually, if you have like a template plastic or you know, just even a little postcard or something, you could trace this on, you could cut this out and trace it, and then you'd have a good template. I'm just going to flip it around and use a light table. You can use a bright window. That would work almost even better than a light table sometimes, but then you can see the lines there. So I'm going to try two different fusible applique materials today. I'm going to try, so this is Heat and Bond Light. It's rather old. I've had it for a long time, and I'm working through it. I'm getting there. So we're going to try Heat and Bond Light. And then one that was recommended to me a lot during the Splendid Sampler 1 was this Steam-A-Seam 2. I have not ever actually used this, and honestly, I'm a little confused. So it just seems like it should be super simple, but I'm confusing myself with it. So if you guys have tips on this, let me know. But here's the Heat and Bond Light, and here is the Steam-A-Seam 2. So the key features of this, here, let me turn this off for a sec. The key features is that it has a fusible on one side. So this is like that glue. You can feel it. It has a texture. And then the back is paper. And the idea is that you fuse your fabric to this, to the fusible side, and then we're going to cut out our design, and then we pull the paper off, and then it reveals the fusible on the other side. So it's double-sided fusible, but one side is protected with paper for now. Tracy, the shear weight that we used for the milk and cookies, that's actually a little bit different because that only has fusible on one side. And it's flowy like fabric. This is more like paper, and it's fusible on both sides. So only one side is exposed right now, but once we fuse that down, we'll be able to lift the paper off, and then the other side will be exposed as well. But you guys, if you want to use that shear weight that we used for the milk and cookies and do this needle turn, I totally recommend that same way of doing it. Go to my videos on YouTube and then look under the Splendid Sampler 2 for the milk and cookies block. In that block, I show you how to do a way to do needle turn applique, but you use a shear weight interfacing that kind of helps make the process super fast and super easy. I'm going to do this differently though. This is going to have raw edges, meaning the edge is actually going to be exposed. It's not going to be tucked under like needle turn applique. So all right, key features, it's fusible on both sides, but one side is protected with paper for the time being. So for the Steam-A-Seam, it kind of looks the same, except there's paper on both sides. So I guess it's kind of like this. So this is a fusible. It's also kind of sticky though, and then you fuse this down, and then you pull the paper off, and the other side has the fusible on. So it's still double-sided, although it has this extra protective paper. And that's the part that's kind of confusing me, but I'm going to pretend that it's not there and treat it as if I would this Heat and Bond Light. So I'm going to treat this as the paper side, like this is the paper side, and this grid side as the first fusible. So I'm going to try the Steam-A-Seam 2 for the elephant, and then I will use the Heat and Bond Light for the little pedestal. So all right, let's give it a try here. So again, I need to work in reverse for fusible applique. So I'm just going to flip this around, and where I'm going to start is I'm going to just trace the design onto the paper side of your fusible. So again, with this Steam-A-Seam, I'm treating this side without the grid as the paper side. So I'm going to just trace this elephant. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to go like with the grain of the paper or anything like that. I'm going to get in here for you guys. I'm going to just trace kind of where it fits best in this corner. I'm not going to worry about the designs right now. We'll, the embroidery design, we will do that next. I'm going to try, you know, I'm trying to be as accurate as I can with this because this is going to be what I cut, the line that I cut the fabric out on eventually here. So I want it to be relatively precise. So again, I'll go back and add the embroidery lines in a bit here. And we'll trace those other two, the pedestal shapes right away too. Oh my gosh, this elephant is so stinking cute. See, so it's gonna look like a crazy blob, but once we get the embroidery in, it's gonna really define the shapes a little bit more. All right, let's do the same with this pedestal. So for the pedestal, instead of drawing a, you know, this zigzag shape and another zigzag shape and then having it like try and fit perfectly together, I think I'm gonna make a big, like the whole shape for like the bottom, and then I will make this secondary shape that can just overlap it. I think that will just be a whole lot easier for us. So we're still in reverse. Just so you guys know, you do want to leave a little bit of an edge, like at least an 1/8 inch edge. You don't want to butt this right up against the edge of the paper, of the fusible. We actually do need a little seam allowance in there. So an 1/8 inch to a quarter inch is usually what I do. It doesn't have to be perfect. The key point is you want an overlap of your line there. So, all right, this is going to be the behind piece. So cute. This little pedestal is so cute. All right, and then this will be that top piece. We had our first zucchini from the garden for dinner tonight. That was the big news of the household today. All right, guys. So we are done with the light table there. We can flip this around. Okay, so we need to trim these out. So I'm just cutting the fusible away. Oh, Leslie, great. I'm so happy you made it in here. All right, so we're gonna cut these out, but we are not gonna cut right on the line. We wanna keep that little bit of seam allowance. So I'm gonna just trim it like that, and you know, maybe this isn't necessary, but I'm just gonna kind of trim around a little bit more. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but there's my first pedestal piece. And the second one, we'll cut around this a little bit more. Again, you want to leave that little 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch edge, but you don't have to have perfect measurements. You just need a little bit hanging over the line there. Oh yes, make a wish on the first harvest, Noeline. I love that idea. I told my mom about that, and she thought that was pretty cute too, to make a wish on your first harvest. We had to make a wish over our lettuce, so we should make a wish over the zucchini as well. And I think we had a total of 5 cherry tomatoes. Oh man, cherry tomatoes that were fresh off the vine with the sun's heat on it. That is the best way for a cherry tomato, for sure. Just cooking in the sun. All right, here's our fun little elephant here. Let me know if you guys have gone onto the Splendid Sampler Facebook page and checked out everyone's elephants so far. I just can't stand how adorable they are all looking. They're just all so sweet and cute. And man, changing colors and changing techniques just really gives them all a different feel. It was about 5 minutes before I came on here tonight that I decided to go with the fusible applique, because everything everyone was doing was so cute. I could not decide between needle turn or fusible. But we're doing the fusible. So all right, we have our pieces here. So again, one side is paper, and one side is that fusible stuff. You know, here you can see the texture of it a little bit. All right, so this guy will go end up on top like that. And then this one was the steam-a-seam. It has paper on this side, but it's kind of like a sticker. So we can peel that off now too. So now it's similar to the Heat and Bond light, where it's paper on one side and here's the fusible. It's like a sticker though for the steam-a-seam. All right, next up is fusing it to our fabric here. So I'm going to just bring the iron over to us. And we are going to be fusing these to the back of the fabric. Here, we'll try and sneak it up into this cut that we have here. So this is the elephant. So with the steam-a-seam, the neat thing about that is that it is like a sticker, so I can just kind of stick it on here, and it won't move around. But I think I still need to fuse it. So, all right, we're just gonna get our iron, and I think I have it on the high cotton setting. You'll want to do whatever it says in the instructions for your fusible. But I'm gonna just hold it on there for about 5 to 10 seconds in each area here. Again, this one has that sticker on, that steam-a-seam, so I don't think it's as necessary for this particular piece, but it will be for the Heat and Bond. Oh, Bonnie, I saw your elephant. Bonnie made a 3D ear for her elephant, so it's kind of like a flappy elephant ear. It's so cute. Okay, so we're gonna let that be for now. We'll fuse these other pieces. How did we want this? I forget. Did we want the yellow on top? Let's decide again. Unless you guys remember. So we had the brown kind of elephant, and we need the top of the platform and the bottom. Was it the other way? I think I kind of like the yellow on top. So we're going to do the yellow on top. So the top piece is this right here. So again, back at the fabric. I think on the Splendid Sampler one, I fused to the front of the fabric on accident twice during that process. So I'm going to try and not do that this time around. So I'm fusing it on the back. I'm like super paranoid now though for it. So, all right, now here I'm going to hold it for that 5 to 10 seconds or so. And again, my Heat and Bond light is pretty old, so it's not as reliable. I think we're fused there, though. That feels pretty good. Okay, and then, oh gosh, these flowers are adorable. These flowers for the bottom. I'm just trying to sneak it into whatever nook I can here. Or right there. You know, now be careful. Be careful not to accidentally do your iron on the fusible, because you'll fuse this to your iron. Don't want to do that. And try not to overlap onto your ironing board or anything either, because that will fuse down. You want to make sure you stay on your, oh gosh, back in the fabric. Yep. I'm going to be freaking myself out about that every single time. Wrong side of the fabric for fusible. Oh, see, that edge isn't quite down. Try and fuse it a little bit longer. All right, I think that's gonna do the job for us enough. All right, next up, we'll let that one cool just because it's a little warm yet. Warm for me to handle. Now, this is where our pencils lines came in super important. Yep, Joe, we are doing raw edge fusible tonight. So now this is the point that we are going to cut directly on our line. And now you kind of can see why we didn't want to cut on the line before, because if we had made our template just to the size of our piece and didn't go over at all, then we would have had to cut our fabric perfectly along an edge that already existed. Whereas with this, I can cut through both the fabric and the paper and I'll have a perfect edge. And now you're not tucking underneath the edges at all. So these edges will be completely exposed. So you want to cut them out as perfect as you can, because it will be, I mean, what you see is what you get here. You know what? I'm just going to snip across here just so I don't have all that fabric dangling. So as clean and nice as you can, because all the edges will be exposed. I think we'll just sneak under here. It should be pretty easy to cut through because you have the paper is kind of holding it all nice and stiff here. Okay, so don't need that anymore. So now we should be able to peel off that paper. There we go. So I'm peeling off that paper and the fusible is still on here. You can kind of see there's a little sheen to it. So that it's double-sided, that fusible, remember, but one side was protected by the paper. So now we have, it's fused to our fabric, and now we have more exposed fusible there. So this piece is ready to go. So I'm gonna set that aside. Let's do this piece here. I'm just gonna quickly just trim. It's way easier to cut out without that giant piece of fabric there. All right, again, perfectly on the edge. So remember, we added to this a little bit. Instead of cutting another diagonal piece or a zigzag piece and hooking two zigzags together, I just cut the whole piece and then our other piece will overlay on top of this. All right, so again, we just need to kind of get in there and peel off the paper. Sometimes I always check, like I rub my finger on here and on the fabric just to make sure that the fusible actually did fuse and it's not still on the paper, but it did. There again, you can see a little bit of the sheen there. That's our fusible. But here's oh, we should have maybe fussy cut some of these flowers, but oh well. Which way does it go? It goes this way. Gosh, it's cute! Okay, so this is going to be our little stand. I am in love with it. Oh my god. It's just really subtle and cute. I'm going for all these neutral colors in this quilt, which is really rare for me. It's rare for me to have neutral colors. Oh my god, that looks so sweet. So I'm having a thrill just using kind of these light neutrals. That's kind of the challenge for me for this quilt. And it is a challenge. Like I am actively trying trying to keep myself from adding tons of bright colors. We will add some brighter colors, just not a ton. I'm trying to stay away from it. So here's the steam a seam. I'm curious if this will like be real different from the heat and bond light. That's kind of the test tonight. Is which do I like better? Just trying to, again, get these edges as nice as I can. And I think I will fuse all of this down onto my backing fabric. I think I'll fuse it all down before I add the embroidery lines, just because I do have my light table here, so it'll be easy to just lay the whole thing on the light table, I think. So you can tell I'm going super slow here. I do want these edges just to be perfect. And I'm going to, so with fusible applique, raw edge applique like this, typically you do want to still attach the edge to your fabric somehow, just to reinforce the idea of it staying. You know, the fusible in theory would be enough to hold it there, but it's also always good just to sew along the edge. And you can do that in all sorts of different ways. You could do just like a little straight stitch line on your sewing machine, or you could do a zigzag stitch that goes over the edge. Or you could do a decorative stitch even. I think I'm gonna hand stitch the edge, and I think I'm gonna do a blanket stitch. So I think that's a pretty traditional way of doing fusible raw edge applique, is with a blanket stitched edge. And I think I saw a few on the Facebook page, the Splendid Sampler Facebook, and it was looking dang cute. So I think we're gonna try that as well. And it goes with the embroidery, you know, embroidered edge. We have those embroidered ears and stuff with this. Okay, here is our elephant. Now, like I said, I have not used the steam-a-seam before, but in theory, it's just like a piece of paper again that should come off here. Oh, so this is a tip. I remember this from last time around. So you were telling, you could tell right now that I was just trying to grab on an edge and pull the paper off. Sometimes that can wreck your perfectly nice edge, right? Because we're handling the edge. So a different way to take the fusible back off so you don't wreck your edge is to take a pin and score the inside, like you're cutting through that paper. Just do an X. So I just did an X there. And now I should be able to, yep, sure enough, I should be able to flip up the paper edge. Good, it's fused. And now I can pull the paper from the inside to the out. So my edge should be perfectly clean. It shouldn't be wrecked at all from me handling it. So now I can tear this paper off from the middle. So this is interesting. The steam-a-seam, it's a sticker here now too. So that's the difference between the steam-a-seam and the Heat and Bond Light. The steam-a-seam has a sticker. It's a sticker, not just so you don't have to just place it and then heat it. You can actually stick it onto your piece and then before you fuse it. So that's neat for traveling and moving things around. Oh, Robin, this is the whole elephant here. So we're gonna add the embroidery details in a sec here. But all right, so in the instructions, it said to use this image as a guide for placing this. So remember, we also are going to be cutting this down to 6.5 inches when we're done. But let's just this guy's way too high here. I'm going to just move this guy. We'll just place this for now. And oh my gosh, it's so cute. So I'm just eyeballing it. I'm just trying to kind of visually get it centered. Luckily, we have leeway because remember, we are trimming it. So if it's a little too far to the right, I can just adjust a little bit when we trim it. So that looks pretty centered, I think. I think we're going to just leave it at that. And like I said, there's enough leeway. So this is the nice thing about the steam-a-seam. It's a sticker, so I can just stick this down. Whereas this, I kind of hope that I don't move it too much as I transport it to my ironing board here. See, so now I have to kind of replace it. Whereas the steam-a-seam, I didn't have to do that, which is pretty cool. All right, and then I'm gonna fuse this all at once. So let's get this guy placed too. nudge him over a little bit. About like that. I think that looks okay, right? I think we're good. All right, so let's fuse. So I'm gonna just, again, we're gonna put this on top of our background fabric and just hold it there for a few seconds. But oh, I didn't mention this a little earlier, but do you kind of see why we needed to work in reverse? Because we were going on the back side of the fabric, the wrong side. So when we flipped it, exposing the right side, the good side of the fabric again, then you know, we're drawing in reverse. But when we flip it, then it's the correct way. So see now our elephant trunk's going this way, just like how it is in the design here. So for fusible, you're working backwards in the reverse because you're flipping it to the right side when you're done here. So this I want really fused well, because as I stitch this, you know, I'm going to be fuddling with the edges and stuff. Ooh, yeah, that's not sticking at all. Let's get that fused. You know, I may need to just toss that Heat and Bond light. It's God, it might even be a decade old. Wow, it might be a decade old. It might be time to get more, to get different Heat and Bond light. Although I think, oh no, look, it's still not wanting to stick at all. Oh, that's interesting. Well, you know what? I might just glue this. Steam-a-seam is perfect. So the Steam-a-seam is totally down. That's perfect. So I think Steam-a-seam's the winner for me tonight. So thanks for the recommendation, you guys. That was a recommendation from last, from the first Splendid Sampler. Yeah, you know what? This is just not working well. So I'm going to just add a dab of glue. Oh, wow, yeah. Ooh, I gotta let it cool a little bit though. So I'm still a fan of Heat and Bond light, but like I said, this is really old. Ooh, hot yet. Actually, you know what? I think I might let that cool just a hair while we draw these lines on here. Man, that Steam-a-seam too, though, that worked super well. All right, so while that just cools a little bit, while that cools just because it's too hot for me to glue down right now, I'm going to trace my embroidery lines on here. So I'm just going to go right back on here. Ooh, it's a little more difficult now that I have this textured color. Another option is I could draw on with like carbon paper, just lay the design on top. We'll do some different embroidery transfer techniques throughout the Splendid Sampler here. But this time I'm gonna just trace the lines on here. Let me just take a peek. So we got this arch, the ear, tail, and the eye for our embroidery. So I'm just matching up the applique piece to the background piece, or the template. And I got my water soluble marker here. The Steam-a-seam stops working. Oh, if you leave the iron on it too long. Oh, you mean the Heat and Bond? Oh, Robin, so the Heat and Bond just stops working if you have it on heat too long? Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting. I'll have to do some tests with that. Because it fused perfectly well to the front, to the fabric, just not to the background fabric, which is odd. All right, tracing this adorable ear. So now this guy will start to have some shape to it. Now that we get the ear and the headline and stuff in there. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of go over it a little darker just to make sure I can see it later. This is a water-soluble marker, so this will come out with water later. I probably won't do that till we're done with the whole quilt. Oh man, it's looking cuter and cuter though. So here we are so far. There's it with the little eye and then the head. So this I'll embroider, and then the background I'll do that, or the edge I'll do that, the blanket stitch for that. Okay, so now we're completely done with the light table. I'm gonna give that a try again. Just oh, you know, it's kind of partially fused. Let's try again on that. See if we can get that a little bit more sticky. We'll just hold it for a little. Oh no, it just kind of totally stops working, doesn't it? Ah, bummer. Well, I'm just gonna glue it down then. It won't be as nice, I think, going through my needle through the glue, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Once I get all the stitches on it, it will be stitched down. Actually, I'm almost wondering if I should redo this part with the steam seam. I don't know. Maybe I just machine stitch the bottom down, hand stitch all this and machine stitch that. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I'm just gonna glue it in place there. But that is the fusible aspect of that. So I mean, we got like over 15 minutes left yet, and we're practically done with the applique part, right? So that's why I thought it'd be super nice to do the fusible style, fusible raw edge style of the applique tonight, just because I won't be here tomorrow, so I did want to go pretty fast. Oh, perfect fabric for the elephant. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. Oh, yes, so in the designer's blog, she did tuck the edges under. So go to the splendidsampler.com and then go to the link on the post for Ivanka's post. She uses fusible, but then she tucked the edge under, so hers appeared needle turn. It's actually very similar to what we did for the clamshells, where we folded over the edges and glued them down. That's basically exactly what we did for the clamshells. So you could for sure do that. You know, check out the clamshells, the clamshell videos that we did. You can do that same version for a different shape like this elephant, and also the milk and cookies project. We did needle turn applique for that, and that way of doing it would work super well for this elephant as well. Man, I kind of think we might need to redo these pieces with the steam seam, you guys. Why don't we do that real quick? I think we need to redo those because I want to make sure that these are fused, and I'm just not convinced that those are going to stay there, even with some stitching. I want to make sure that all the edges are down. So let's just really quickly try and crank out this edge again. You learned it on Alex Anderson when she was on TV. Oh, neat, about the heat and bond. Oh, that it doesn't stick anymore if it's on too long. That's crazy. See, I feel like I haven't had that problem before. I wonder if it is just because it's old. But maybe, yeah, I don't know. Not cool. It's making me have to redo stuff. But oh well. I gotta test out a new product today too, which I haven't used before, this steam seam, so I'm excited about that. Still gonna have fun. All right, let's. Oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't reverse it. I did. Yeah, you need to reverse it. But you know what? I'm gonna keep it as is. Our pedestal is gonna be backwards on mine. But you're right. I forgot to reverse it. Forgot to reverse it, so that will be the little reminder that, oh hey, we had a little trouble on this block. Remember when we had to redo it and reverse it? We didn't reverse it. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, again, just a reminder, I'm usually here on Fridays, but it's my birthday tomorrow, so I won't be here tomorrow. That's why I'm trying to get through as much as I can on this tonight. All right, let's try this again here. So now I can take the steam seam has those two edges, two paper sides. There we go. That's the first kind of sticker. Let's try and get it in here. Oh, we still need to fuse it though. We'll do both at once. And I'm just trying to get a little unused edge. Actually, I think I will do this now. There's a little bit of a fusible hanging out there, so I don't want to get my iron on that. Okay, I think that'll do. And we'll tuck this right up in here. Oh, did I take the paper off? Nope, I don't think so. When I was a designer for the block, did they give me a theme? They did not give me a theme. They kind of, I knew what technique I was going to use. So, you know, with Penguin and Fish, I do a ton of embroidery. I mean, embroidery is our main thing. So they wanted me to do a block with embroidery on it. And the theme was basically, if I remember correctly, it was just kind of tell a story of, you know, of craft in your life sort of thing. And I did mine of the crocheted doilies that my grandma always used to make, that I remember her having all over in the house, and how I love making her doilies, her crochet doilies. I love all crafts. So mine was a doily that looked like it was crocheted, but it was really embroidered. That was my block for the first Splendid. But yeah, just kind of a story of crafting in your lives, basically. I think we'll come up this way. All right, we are redoing this. If you're just popping in here, we're redoing the applique. The Heat and Bond Light, we're redoing it with the Steam Seam because the Heat and Bond Light is not sticking for me. So far, a fan of the Steam Seam. It's my first time using it tonight. Oh, you used one of your moms on that block. Oh, that's sweet, Jennifer. Since Steam Seam is sticky on both sides, could you just stick it, cut it out, and fuse both sides at once? I think you could absolutely do that, Charla. I think maybe I could have done that. Yeah, I think that's probably how it's meant to be done. I'm not familiar with all the stickiness of it all, so I haven't used it before, but that would make perfect sense. So I'm just going to take this off. That would make total perfect sense that you could stick this, you could, because it's a sticker, you could do it all at once. Oh, I'm going to do that thing where I score it here again, because I don't want to wreck the edges. I don't want to wreck my nice edges by like picking at it. So I'm going to just score it in the middle, score an X, just try to cut through that paper. Yeah, and we'll rip the paper off from the middle so we don't hurt our nice pretty edges that we spent time cutting all nice and then, you know, get our hands all over. We want to keep those clean. Okay, here's the one. So we can place that. Oh, Robin, you like doing my block and the bonus block? Oh, that's nice. All right. Yeah, the stickiness of this is really kind of a neat feature. And you can just lift it up easily and move it. That's pretty good, right? More flowers this time. All right, so that's stuck. All right, let's score this guy as well. And pull the papers out from the center out. If I can grab it. There we go. All right, well, I will be using, if we do more raw edge applique, which I'm sure we will, I think I'll be using this seam. So, okay, remember, this is backwards now because I forgot to turn it the right side for our redo. I forgot to do it the right way. So it's backwards, but it's just the pedestal, so I don't think it matters. There, man, that sticker is slick. I do have to say, that's pretty slick. All right, we got two little pedestals. There, maybe he balanced one. All right, let's fuse that down. There, now I feel a lot better that we redid that pedestal. I probably wouldn't have had to, but you know, I'm gonna be handling this a bunch and it's gonna be stored for a while. So I think that was good to redo it. But there we go. Let's just give this whole thing a little pressy. I think he's looking awfully cute here. So, all right, here is where we're at right now. For the embroidery, I just want to show you real quick how I'm going to do the edge. I think we have just enough time to go through there. I have my little bin of scrap embroidery floss. And I kind of want a color that matches this background, but I'm not sure I actually have one. So it might be a little bit brighter. See, that's just too over the top. I want it to blend in a little bit. Maybe this gray. That gray is pretty neutral. I think we're going to go with this. So, all right. I am going to do a blanket stitch around the edge. And then once that's done, I'm going to do the same for here. And for the blanket stitch, I think I want to use colors that match as well as they can. And then I'll use that darker, like black, for black or that dark blue that they suggest for these outlines. And then those will really pop. I don't think I want my edge to pop as much. So that's why I'm going to blend it in a little bit. There's an end. I'm going to only use about, I don't know, I always get about 24 inches, 18 to 24 inches worth. Leslie, I am storing my blocks in a binder like this. So I have the unfinished blocks up front, so I'm not done with clamshells, and I'm also not done with the milk and cookies. I just started stitching that down. So those are in front, and then I have this divider, and then the finished one, the ones are in back. So that's how I'm storing it, just in little sleeves in a binder like that. But okay, so I'm going to use 3 strands of thread. So I'm going to just grab strands out of here one at a time. And for the embroidery that we did on the last block, I go through a lot of this. But I just want to get to stitching right away here, so I'm going to go fast. But this is a super fast way. It looks tedious, but it really is fast and easy. You just grab one of the strands and pull on it and let it all bunch behind you. And it's easy peasy. I'm going to get a little embroidery needle. Let's put these 3 together again. So blanket stitch is a really just cute way to finish an edge. All right, so I'm going to start with a knot here. I'm wondering if I should put this in an embroidery hoop for this. I'm not sure I have one that's just the right size. I tend to like to put embroideries in a shape that won't bend all the applique. I think I'm going to do it without the hoop just for this edging. I kind of don't need an embroidery hoop for the inside areas because it's supported by that fusible. I'm embroidery queen. All right, so let's see. Where should I start on here? I think we're going to start on his leg and go up this way. So I'm just going to put my needle in from the front to back, way down at the edge here. I have a little knot here. That's going to be my away knot. All that's doing is I want like a long edge on the back so I can weave in this edge a little bit later. It'll make sense in a bit here. I think we're going to actually start kind of in the middle, like on a straightaway. All right, so I'm going to come up right on the edge there. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of leave this dangle down here a little bit. So for a blanket stitch, it's just a really cute stitch that you can use for edging. So you're going to come up on an edge, and you want to think about it as I'm going to go a stitch to the right and a stitch down. So it depends how big you want your stitches. We'll go maybe a little shy of a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go a stitch over and a stitch down. And it will be a little difficult to stitch through because you do have that steam seam in it. But, you know, it'll be okay. And then we're going to come back up directly above. So here, if you look at it from this angle, we started here. You're going to go over and down, and that's where your first stitch is going to be. And then you're going to come back up right where, you know, right in line with where you came out, but on that edge again. But you want your loop, you want to come out with through the loop of the thread there. So you want to, if the thread is somewhere else, you want to place it over your needle so you have this kind of loop going. Because when you pull, your working floss here is going to catch that loop, and it's going to make that first little stitch. And I can make it a little tighter, but there you go. That's our first blanket stitch. So I actually like holding it so the loop will be like this. So, all right, that's our first one. I'm going to hold it with my thumb, and we're going to go over a stitch and down a stitch again. And that's where I'll put the needle next. And then back up on the line and through that loop, that circle that our thread makes. And there we go. That's our second little blanket stitch. So I'm going to do just one more here tonight, and I think then we will call it an evening. But we have our applique pieces on here. This is a good place to stop, because now I can just focus on the handwork and just have fun going around the edge. But there, see how cute that's going to be? It'll just be like a nice hand-done touch around the edge here. I'm doing it so it sort of blends in. And then we'll go back later and add in, I just have a scrap here, but just so you guys can see, we'll add in the stitches for the ear and the head and the eye. But like, look how that pops. Once we get that dark color in, that is going to so define the ear and the eye and the little tail. I'm trying to blend in this border so my ear will pop out even more. And we might do like a fun color for this little decorative edge too, just to make this zigzag pop a little bit. But I'm stoked. We're at a good place with this, and yeah, embroidery or the applique done. Just doing the embroidery decorative stuff. So all right, guys, I'm gonna flip you around, and we will call it an evening. Hello. So thank you guys for joining me for the needle turn, or not needle turn, we did the fusible applique. Oh, it's going to be so cute. It's going to be so nice once we get that black on there, don't you think? Like his ear is just going to pop off the page there, and then you'll just see the elephant right away. It'll define the shape of it. So I am stoked for this. This was a good birthday block. He's like a happy birthday elephant, I think. So again, guys, I'm not going to be here tomorrow because it is my birthday. We're going to be going to a play in town here, the Hubs and I. But I will be back here on Monday again, and we'll be working on the Charming Chevrons quilt, the free motion quilting again. Oh, thanks, Nolene. Thanks, you guys. You guys are sweet. But I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies. All of the replays of the Splendid Sampler 2 blocks are over there on YouTube, Penguin and Fish Movies. If you go to the Splendid Sampler 2, it's right on top. And then I have it organized by block. So this will be in the balanced block tonight. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Good night. Thanks for the birthday wishes. You're awesome.